All right, that's looking like about all we're going to get. I'm not seeing anybody else show up. So let's get the show on the road. I've got a few items that I want to go over with you all. And then if you've got more general questions that are going to relate to hopefully more than one or two people, feel free to ask them here. If you've got really specific questions about a launch or a place you're fishing or access that you think is more specific to just you, um, probably better to handle that outside of this meeting so everybody's not sitting through a bunch of that. Um, but if in question, go ahead and pop it here if you think it makes sense for everybody. So the bigger news is Clear Lake in California. We had a permitting issue with that. We had been given an initial approval on the permit to do that. They were forcing us to get a permit. Um, but unfortunately, that ultimately did not get finally approved. We just found out about that this afternoon. They contacted us. So if you were planning to fish Clear Lake, California, you are no longer allowed to fish Clear Lake, California for this event. It is off limits for the native event. There is a Yakka Bass tournament, live tournament, team tournament that's going on there. And of course, the people that are fishing that, they're permitted and they can fish that, but you won't be able to double dip and do the native event. If you were only fishing the native event on Clear Lake, California, there are other bodies of water you can go to. You can go to the Delta, you can go to Shasta Lake, and some other places that are a little further away. And you are allowed to fish those there. If you can't do that, like if you're fishing the Akabas event, then contact Marv Goda or me or Vinny, either any of us really, and let us know that you're going to need to cancel, and we will get you a refund. Refunds expired 4/15, but obviously this isn't anybody's fault really. This is the permitting issue. So we're going to go ahead and issue a refund for those people that aren't going to be able to do the event. One that just continually keeps popping up that I want to make sure everybody knows is you are competing with everyone across the country in this event. We've got 4 events in Tourney X, and that's specifically so that we can set the events up for the time zone in the area where you're going to be fishing. That's why there are 4 events. There was really no other way to do it. And then we are going to manually compile all the results from those and end up with one set of results. Standings will be off for this entire event for that reason. We're not going to turn it on and give you any idea where you're at. So you're just going to have to catch the fish and submit them, check them carefully. In Tourney X, you can look at the fish you've uploaded, even if the standings are turned off. You can look at the fish you've uploaded and make sure they're right. Make sure you've entered the right length for those. This is especially important because on an event this big, depending on how many fish we get that are submitted, all the fish may not be judged. If somebody has, a 14 and that's all they caught all day, there's a good chance that may not be judged, or it may not be judged very quickly. So I'd hate for somebody to upload a 24-inch bass and by accident punch in 14-inch bass, and us not realize that they've uploaded a really big fish. So we'll do our best to go through as many or all the fish that we can. It really just depends on how many get uploaded. But please double check all your submissions and make sure they're correct. So back to the entire country thing, you are competing with everybody. If you didn't understand that, or you don't understand that now, contact me after this meeting and we'll talk about it. Pennsylvania is off limits. We've had some people debating us about this. We talked to multiple sources there. They told us, no, we cannot do a tournament there on this date. So all of Pennsylvania is off limits. Any fish that are submitted within the state of Pennsylvania or border waters of Pennsylvania, they are going to be denied. USA waters only. That includes fishing and launching. You can't launch in Canada and then travel over to the Michigan side, for example. You've got to launch in America and you've got to fish in American waters. Already went over that. The awards are, we're planning to do the awards Sunday evening. It's going to take us a while to go through everything and compile the results. So we can't give you fast results on this, but Vinny is going to run that through StreamYard. So we will have that online Sunday evening, and we'll contact all the winners before that and ask you to please make sure and join us on StreamYard because we'd like to get you to talk about your day and talk about your catches. On StreamYard where everybody can find out what worked for you. Okay, so this is an important one. Be sure and check the tournament that you're signed up for and make sure that you're in the right, you have the body of water that you're fishing is listed in that event. Of those 4 events in each time zone, make sure the body of water listed is in there. And you can't just go by state because there are states that are in multiple time zones. So a state, the bodies of water in one state might be split up between a couple of tournaments. So make sure and look at the tournament that you're signed up for and make sure the body of water you plan to fish is listed in that Tourney X. If it's not, you're probably signed up for the wrong one. Contact me and I can get you moved over into the right one if you need to be. If you don't see it listed anywhere, then contact me as well. I don't think we've missed any, but if we've missed one that we said we were going to allow and you don't see it listed, let me know and I'll get that fixed for you. Okay, you must follow our times. That includes launch time. We tried our best to give as many opportunities as possible for people to double dip. If they were doing live events in their area at that same time, we've tried to include those bodies of water and give people the opportunity to fish their local tournament and also submit for the native event so that they have a chance to win some extra money. And in most cases, that has worked. In some cases, it hasn't. In some cases, the times that local tournament was using were different than ours, and we can't allow that. We can't allow people to launch early and just not submit for the native event and only submit in their local and then start catching and submitting for ours. That's not fair to everybody else because you're already on the water and fishing. If that's the case, if you are in an event that you can't do that, contact me after this meeting and we'll talk about the specifics and figure out if anything will work or not. But yeah, you've got to follow our times. So a question we always get is about submission time, taken time, and tiebreakers. So everything for the hourly power hour, the Big Bass Power Hour, is based on time taken. So it's the time that you take the photograph of the fish. If there's a tie, if we've got two 25-inch bass in hour 1, whichever photograph was taken first, that's who's going to win hour 1. For the overall big bass of the day, we're going to look at, if there's a tie for that, we're going to look at all of them and we're going to look at the person's bag and we're going to break the tie to the person that has the second biggest bass in their bag. So if they've got a 25 and a 24 and the other person has a 25 and a 20, then the person with the 25 and the 24 is going to win overall big bass. You've got to use the native identifier card. That is available in Facebook in the files section, or if you go in Tourney X and look at the details in Tourney X, there's some links down near the bottom for the identifier card. You have to use that card. You cannot, if you're double dipping, you cannot use the card from some other tournament. You can't write it on your hand. You can't write it on a blank piece of paper. It has to be on our identifier card, and it needs to be printed at 100% size, which it should if you print those as they are downloaded. Don't print it giant and write it out on there. Now, The opposite of that, if you're fishing in a local tournament, like I know Southern Nevada, June over in Southern Nevada, people can double dip there. They can fish his tournament and they can fish the native event. And June has said uh, he'll let his anglers write their ID code for their tournament on our card. And that's fine. If your tournament director is okay with you using our card for that tournament, that's fine. But we can't allow it in reverse because we've got people all over the country and we can't be checking for multiple identifiers. We need to be looking at one identifier. Went over that. Okay. This one's a little tricky. So time zone. Make sure that your phone is set at the time zone and for the time that the tournament you are fishing is in. This is especially important if you're fishing a body of water that is on a time zone line. You could be picked up by a cell tower on the other side of the line, and you might be under the impression that it's 7 a.m. and that's when you're fishing, but your phone might say 6 a.m. And that's a problem. Your fish are gonna get denied if that happens. So make sure your phone matches the time zone of the tournament that you are signed up for. If that doesn't make sense to you, if you're confused, contact me. I've already talked to a couple of people about this and help sort them out with it and make sure it's right. It can get a little wonky, and there are places that it is a little weird. For one example, too, Arizona, the folks that are in Arizona, we've got you in the Pacific time zone slot. Even though technically you are mountain time zone with no daylight savings, your time matches that of the Pacific zone. So that's what you're fishing. You're going to be fishing on the Pacific time zone. Luckily, it's daylight saving time. So you're going to be the same as California. So whether you're on the Arizona side or the California side of Lake Havasu, you'll be fine. The time is the same in both of those right now. So for the overall big bass this year, or for this event rather, we're not giving away a tight necks. We normally do at our live events. For this one, we didn't do it because we can't, it can be tricky to get those shipped all over the place. So instead, Native has taken that money and we've increased the payouts for the no limit winners. I mentioned refunds were closed 4/15. So if you want to pull out now, I'm sorry, it's too late. We can't do it. A few rules things to review. Motors are allowed, a single motor, not two motors, one. Only one motor can be a bow mount or a stern mount, either one. Or in the case of like an Old Town that it's transom mounted in the middle, or a Native that does that. That's fine. All right, so you can't hold fish. All fish must be released before you can cast again or start fishing again. You can't leave a line in the water while you're measuring your fish. That's not allowed. And you can't hold that fish. It would be fruitless anyway, because you're not going to know what anybody has submitted. So it'd be a waste of time to hold the fish and try and get it in the next hour or something like that. So don't do it. Make sure the mouth of the fish is closed, and I mean completely closed. It needs to be completely shut like that. Not like this, not cracked. It needs to be shut and against the fence of the bump board. If it is cracked, if it is open, even if it is because the fish is structurally deformed or injured where it can't close, you're going to get a 1/4 inch deduction for that fish. So make sure those mouths are closed. Make sure the tails are flat on the board and we can see it. Either lobe of the caudal fin of the tail can be on the line. Try and get it touching the line if you can. That's fine. Either lobe will work. It doesn't have to be both. But the tail should be down and flat on the board, at least one lobe of it for sure. A PFD, life vest is required at all times. The only exception to that is if you go out and you need to change layers of clothes, that's fine. Let's say you want to put on a jacket, take off your PFD, stop fishing, put your rod down, take off your PFD, put your jacket on, put your PFD on over the jacket. Make sure your PFD is on the outside of your clothing, not under a jacket. And same thing if you want to take a layer off, stop fishing, take the PFD off, take off the layer of clothing, put the PFD back on, zip it up, and then you can start fishing again. Bump boards. We are allowing catch boards, the catch carbonate, that's their plastic board, or the aluminum catch boards, any of the aluminum catch boards, except those really big folding ones that are like for muskie and stuff. We don't allow those, but any of the other catch boards are allowed. The Yak Attack leaderboard is also allowed. So either of those boards will work. If you don't have one of those boards, if you got a plain old board or a hog trough or something like that, all your fish are going to get denied. So you're wasting your time. If you don't have one of those, find somebody in your area who does. It's a little late to get one. Maybe you could get on online tonight and have one overnighted to you. I don't know, but it's a little late in the game for that. 14-inch minimum. That's important too. It won't allow you to punch in a number less than 14. So if you accidentally punch in 12 for a fish that's actually 14, it's going to tell you that doesn't work. So you'll be able to fix it and re-upload it, but make sure your fish are 14 inches or bigger. Let's see, I've got a few more things in here. The identifier must be in the photo. Don't crop the identifier halfway out of the photo. And the identifier should be above, below, or to the sides of the fish. It should not be on top of the fish. Do not lay the identifier on the fish and then take your photo. That is going to get you denied. Keep the identifier in the photo, but not top of the fish, not laying on the fish. Did that. Fish must be facing left. So the left eye of that fish needs to be up, right? So when you're looking at your board like this, the head should be to the left, the tail to the right. Make sure your fish is oriented that way. If it's not, it's going to get denied. If you're a minor, we allow anglers 13 to 17 to fish, but you need to fill out some special paperwork, a waiver. So you and your parent or guardian. So contact me after this meeting if that's the case. Make sure your hand is not covering the eye. And really make sure your hand is not under the gill plate. You can put your hand on top of the gill plate, but if your hand is under, or if the gill flap is flared and your hand is close to the edge, that fish may get denied. So be really careful about that. I recommend people either put their hand up over the gill plate, as long as you're not covering any of the eye, over the gill plate, or move it way back behind the gill plate. We will allow you to put your hands all the way back towards the caudal fin, like in the fleshy area. And even if you get onto the root part of that tail fin, you should be fine. But to be on the safe side, I like to keep my hand close to the middle of the fish or on top of that gill plate. Those are the really safe places for your hands. I think that's about all I've got. We've got about 150 anglers signed up right now. I'm expecting some more to sign up tomorrow. Registration ends tomorrow at 6 p.m. your local time, whatever time zone you're in. It ends at 6 p.m. So tell your friends. Hopefully we'll get up over 200. That's kind of what we're looking for. I'm going to open up the floor now. If somebody has a question, they can raise their hand or they can speak out. I don't know that we've got a whole lot of people ready to ask questions, or you can put it in the chat and we'll see it in there. Somebody in chat has said, check in, check out. It'd be great if you could use the check in, check out feature of Tourney X, especially if you have service, and hopefully you do. Go ahead and check in the morning when you're launching, and then when you're getting off the water, check out. That tells us you're safe. It tells us where you launched, and it tells us when you're off the water and you're safe. So yes, please do that if you can. Okay. Any questions for me? Come on. Who's going to be first?
Can you troll?
Can you troll? Yes. Uh, that tells me you didn't read the rules carefully enough because that's in there. Be sure and read the rules, everybody. Read all they're not that long. Read them all and know. You control with one line in the water. You can't do two rods
Yeah.
trolling, but one trolling, no problem at all.
What time does lines in?
All that is in Tourney X. I'm not going to quote
20x.
times
Okay.
here because I don't want somebody to tell me, well, you said it was this.
Okay.
All
Sounds
that
good.
is listed
Thanks.
in Tourney X. Go to Tourney X. If you're using the Tourney X app on your phone, there's a little
Yeah.
trick that some people don't know about to see those details. When you click on the Tourney X Pro app, down at the bottom, there's this logo. It says X Pro. Tap on that. That's going to bring up the events you're signed up for. I'm not signed
Okay.
up for this event. And then once you tap that, then you can see the details for the event. That's where you can get it on your phone, or you can just go to your browser. If you're not using the app, that's a little easier. It's just go into your browser, type in Tourney X, look for the event that you're fishing, and all those details are spelled out there. All the times are in there.
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? Somebody's asking in chat, is it okay if we have multiple identifiers in the photo if we are double dipping? Yes, no problem. You can have 2, 3, 4 identifiers. Fishing KVF online event, you're fishing a local event, and you're fishing ours, and you got 3 identifiers. No problem. You can take them separately, or you can take them all as one photo and just upload them. And TourneyX will allow you to upload photos to multiple events at once. You can select multiple events and upload the same photo to multiple events. So that will save you a little bit of time. Anybody else? Is somebody in chat is saying, is there any issue if we launch late? No, not really. You're missing out on potentially winning $1,000 for Big Bass Power Hour if you leave an hour out. You're sort of giving that up, but not a problem really. Somebody's pumped. Samsung is pumped. Does the native identifier need to be in color or black and white? Okay, black and white's fine. It is a color image, but you can print it on a black and white printer. That's not a problem. Any other questions? Speak up. Any predictions? What's overall Big Bass going to be? We're going to see a 23, a 24. Somebody's asking, can I hit check-in anytime I get to the ramp? Ideally, we would like you to check in, like a half hour, somewhere in that half hour window before you launch, but it's not a big deal. Jeremy Baker says 25. I think that's a pretty good guess. I think somebody has a shot at a 25. And Max is guessing a 25.75. That would be impressive. And No Limit, he's saying 400. I don't know about that. 400 is an awful lot. The people fishing up north, especially some of these smallmouth waters, I think you've got a real good shot at the No Limit. So I hope somebody does it. And anybody can win it a power hour. It's possible. When will Tourney X show standings? It won't until we announce. 600 inches. Okay. Max is guessing the smallest winner of a power hour is going to be 22. I think it might be even lower. It might, but that's a decent guess. And you know, at 22, you can catch in almost any state. It's possible. Anybody else? We've lost most of you. All right. We don't have any more questions. I'm gonna call it. I need to drink some water here. Thanks a ton to all of you. Oh, now a bunch of people just appeared again. It's my Zoom. Uh, I really appreciate all of you signing up. I should have said that at the beginning. My apologies, but really appreciate you signing up and showing your support for this event. You know, one of the things we're trying to do with this event is figure out what other parts of the country we're not representing that have good bodies of water that can really represent and that have a lot of anglers there that are fishing it. So we're going to be watching to see where these catches are coming from. We've got a team of judges that are judging, and I'll be there with them all day, working on it as well to make sure we keep up with everything. And yep, looks like about it. All right. Anything else that you didn't think of now, feel free to reach out to me or Vinny after this. If you need a refund for that Clear Lake event, contact Marv Goda. You can contact me or Vinny too, and we'll get you sorted out. But Marv is really handling that since he's our California guy. Otherwise, good luck to y'all. Be safe on the water. If you're out there and there are other anglers, look out for them. If you see somebody or hear somebody getting into trouble, stop fishing and go and help them. We got to look out for each other all the time. Thanks again, and hopefully I'll see you Sunday night after you win one of the power hours or win the no limit. See you folks.